and we're live from Stockholm, Sweden with this special round report from the first round of Rilton Cup. As some of you might know, I am deeply involved in the Rilton Cup personally as the webmaster. So if you have any complaints about the website, you should direct them to me. And Wasabis, we want to promote a bit before the Pro Chess League that starts on the 9th of January. And for everyone who is living in Stockholm, we're gonna hold a live event at Time Hotel on the 9th. It will be at 7 o'clock in the evening around when the match starts. More information to follow later. And today I then want to have a look at a few games that I've selected for from the first round of the Rilton Cup. Previous years, when I've done reports from Rilton, I have written them and then posted them on the website. So I wanted to try something new this year and also give you the opportunity to interact with the round report through the Twitch chat. For everyone who are not familiar with the Rilton Cup, it is an annual tournament played here in the heart of Stockholm. Currently we're played like right on top of the central subway in Stockholm at the Hotel Scandic Continental. And it is this year's is the 49th edition. So it's a long-running tournament, it was possible because of the Swedish doctor Tore Rilton, who made a generous donation in his testament, making possible for Stockholm Chess Federation to arrange this tournament every year. So let's get right down to it. In the first round there were a few upsets, but I would like to focus on we're gonna see at least 1.5 upset, and we're gonna see the top 2 Swedish players that are playing in Rilton Cup, Erik Blomqvist and Tiger Persson. So we're gonna start with Erik Blomqvist's game, which was against Drazen Drasegovic. For those who are familiar with the Malmö Vikings and the Pro Chess League, they try to qualify, and Drazen is their team captain. And he did a lot of commentary and streaming for the Malmö Vikings. So this was a bit of a miniature actually, which was quite fascinating. So Drazen started with c4, the English, and Erik responded quite symmetrically. Let's just skip through games here. I'm not so familiar with why you choose to put this bishop here this early. Are you trying to provoke e4? I am not like a frequent player of any of these similar positions, but at least now he got this e4 in with tempo, but it closes off the diagonal of the bishop. And then I kind of liked white's position, like you're taking a lot of terrain here in the middle, while I guess black's idea was to play b5 here and you prevent it with a4. Still trying to go b5. I was thinking, like, was there any other way to like play here than king h2, but I guess he is not that afraid. And then black instead of playing b5, goes for e5. Now it's starting to look like some kind of Botvinnik system against c4 through a transposition. Like when you have these pawns, and white has these pawns on c4, a4, and e4, and black tries to play with b5. Knight e1, knight e4, and here you could see that the computer didn't like this at all, because it seems like this was white's whole idea. Moving the knight and playing f4 was the idea, and seems to like the computer just doesn't like it. And why is that? Well, I think it was none of these options of taking back is very good for white. Taking with the pawn, it weakens your king a bit, but it feels more natural than taking with the bishop. Because I thought that was the plan, that you were going to expand here. Now this structure is usually a bit strange all the time, but at least you're attacking a pawn. So now it gets sharp. So I guess Drazen's idea was to take this pawn, but as you will see in the game, it's a very poisonous pawn. So takes back, threatening both the rooks, looks very strong, but there are some very interesting ideas going on here on the black squares. So bishop takes a4, very important move. So takes the pawn, but also threatens the queen, and that means that you have to protect your queen somehow, and you cannot protect this bishop. So Drazen decided to take back, and now black has gotten a very strong attack on this pawn on g3, and white needs to find a way to defend it. The knight is on this optimally bad square for protecting this pawn. You could try to protect it with the knight on c3, but then black can just take it, queen takes, and then perhaps even knight g3 with a fork and discovered check. Looks very strong. So, and there are really no other pieces than this knight. Oh, there's also the exchange sacrifice with rook f3. Maybe that is the best one. But what happened was queen g4 protecting the pawn, or at least it looks like it protects the pawn, but actually it doesn't. So black could just take this pawn, and white actually resigned here, and the position is hopeless because there's this rook hanging on f1. There is the discovered check on h2, and the really tricky part here is that if white takes back, then there is this move. I believe, yeah, it must be this move, and pinning the queen to the king, and black gets the queen for 2 pieces. And so yeah, that went downhill quite quickly. It was just this move. It was probably this miscalculation that or like this move, something felt right, didn't feel right. If you see this move and you see this continuation here with bishop takes a4, I don't think you'd want to go for this with white, because it's a very straightforward calculation here that is like impossible to protect this pawn. Oh well, that was the first game. Let's have a look at the second, which I wanted to just go through Tiger. Tiger usually always plays quite imaginative and interesting chess, so you always want to look at his game. So he's playing against Monica Calceta Ruiz, a woman grandmaster from Spain. So let's see. So what is this gonna evolve to? Tiger usually plays the modern, but this is looking like a Benoni sort of beforehand. So let's see what it turns into. Yeah, looks like some kind of Benoni structure. But when you were white in some cases places the pawn on e3, but now it's with opposite colors or reversed colors. So attacking the center seems very natural. Yeah, getting the queen out. You don't want to exchange queens, and you. Oh, Nikolai Pavlov is following. Thank you. We love that. We want more follows right in the middle of the board. Keep them coming. You also open up this line for the rook. And thank you. So everyone else, go right in the chat if you have any questions. Also, Queen e7 seems very natural, preventing any, I don't know, bishop a3, trying to exchange these bishops, trying to leave black with this lonely little sorrow bishop that is trapped behind their own pawn chain. Yeah, Merry Christmas, exactly. Happy New Year's, it's almost the time for. I'm reading the chat. It's Nikolai that wishes Merry Christmas. So yeah, keep developing. Looks very good. And now there's some kind of threat going on here on c4. There are two pieces here. Let's see what Tiger did. Yeah, so he now attacks the bishop, threatening to take the bishop pair, and also defends the pawn on c4 with the queen on c2. Bishop d4 attacking the rook. What should it go for? Rook b1 looks very natural. Yeah. So now you're always ready if the black chooses to take on c4 and you take back, you have the rook on the optimal file here. And this bishop can be attacked. So it looked like you gained a tempo here as black with the bishop going here attacking the rook, but actually this was a very useful move, and the rook is probably going here, and then it will get the tempo back on the bishop. So yeah, I'm not sure this was brilliant, but maybe it was necessary. So rook a b8, rook d1, now you got that, so now you have made two useful rook moves. e4, continuing to attack or increasing the pressure on the center. Oh, this, I like this. So you don't take back, because then you have, oh, you're just losing. I missed that, but I really like this move that Hillar played. Like, even if it wasn't just losing a pawn or something more, perhaps, it just looks very optically nice, where you are threatening to play bishop c5 or even knight c5. So let's see. Yeah, I like what he. So rook fd8. Now when you move that one, it is no longer. They are not standing on the same diagonal, the queen and the rook. So this is not the same kind of threat as before. Let's see what Tiger did. He played f4, gaining some space here. So this bishop needs to find a square. I guess it will go back to c7, because if it goes to d6, there will be this fork. Oh, this looks like a pretty bad move according to the computer, because there's some kind of intermediate threat here. Was that what happened? Oh, so seems like there was a kind of mistake made here. Why is it such a huge mistake? Let's see. So you're threatening. Can you take it with the rook and pin the rook forwards the queen and play e5 or something? That is starting to look pretty bad. But let's see what he did. Yeah, he took it, yeah. And then e5. Yeah, so he has sacrificed an exchange, but he's threatening to win the whole rook for, yeah, the pawn, or not even that. So, what did black try? Oh, yeah, oh, now I didn't even see this. What happens if you take, then you have 2 pieces for the rook, but you're losing this pawn. Did Tiger find something better? Oh, queen d1. So what's the idea? If you take here, you take with the pawn or the bishop. Yeah. And you play, yeah, this is much better because you get to keep the pawn. And also you have a threat on the rook, so. And this was a very strange move. Is it just leaving the rook? She just doesn't want to move it. Okay. So, and now it's just a piece up against the pawn. So I guess he won convincing, yeah, and she resigned. That was nice. I just seems to have been a blunder here. This was the critical moment after f4. Yeah, black seems to have 2 moves, taking with check or playing bishop c7, but this move with this intermediate threat on the queen is just too much. Because you're threatening the queen, you're threatening the bishop. More or less need to play this move. And then you had this beautiful idea of taking with the rook instead of the bishop. And then using the pin on the rook against the queen. Nice, Tiger. And then I had like the one major upset we had here between Karsten Larsen, FIDE master from Denmark, so, and against Lars Oskar Hauge. So this is a Nordic battle going on here. And what was it that happening? I think I saw a little bit. It was a stone wall or some kind. No, right. It was some kind of strange Dutch that turned into a stone wall with this knight c3 and a3, and then. So I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with playing against the stone wall. I've also played the stone walls with black a few times, but playing this system with a3, knight c3, and bishop g5, I'm not familiar with at all. But seems to have paid off with some very interesting idea. So yeah, black didn't want to play the regular stone wall or with c6 and just went for this c5 break when he could. It seems very reasonable. So white does a transition with the knight from d square, which can be kind of good to get to d square, or either you can get it to d3. D3 is usually a key square in the stone wall for white to put a knight on, because then you're controlling all of these dark squares. Let's see, yeah, that prevents putting the knight on d3, but it also seems to halt your counterplay a bit, but of course. Yeah, this is pretty solid, I would say. And is he gonna play a5? Yeah, so black is trying to break through on this side. Seems very nice. I kind of like black's position here, but let's see. He must have gone wrong somewhere. Can it be here? When he exchanged the black bishops? the computer indicates that something's gone wrong here. And when I saw this game, I was also thinking that there was something going on the dark squares here, and that black had some issues. So maybe this is where black is starting to go wrong. Let's see what happens. So h4, very positional move, I would say, that prevents g5, that forces this knight away. So you want to keep this knight on this beautiful square where it attacks the e6 pawn. These knights are a bit strange. This knight is walking into all of these pawns. It's not enough to have the bishop like being restricted by all of these pawns. You also need to restrict your knight. Oh well. So queen says, and now moving over all of the, is white now gonna start playing on this side? Perhaps. I don't see white playing on this side, so to me it seemed very nice, but the computer wanted to play a4 directly. Oh well, let's just continue a little bit with the game. So yeah, here is when I thought it was starting to get really critical, because now everything is breaking up here, and you're starting to sense that something is falling apart in black's position, because white is gonna start undermining, or is undermining this pawn, and if you can like get this pawn to move, this bishop will be a complete monster. So let's see, yeah, decided to take the pawn on b3 instead of allowing like a capture on b5 and a capture on c4. So taking with the knight, yeah, there's a nice square on c5, so that seems very natural. e5, and now you can see the computer is going way up, and I think it's all about that. When you play e5, you create a huge weakness on d5 that is being attacked by both the knight and the bishop, and also there might be some issues on this diagonal a2 to g8 against the black king. So let's see what Karsten managed to do. He took that pawn, yeah, not losing any tempo. It seems like this pawn is so weak. You can attack it with both the knight, the bishop, and you can start doubling up the rook here. There are some very nice squares, black squares. Let's see, taking that one seems like a good start. Not taking back, is it because this pawn is falling? Yeah, so you want to increase the protection of that pawn a bit. Let's see what happens. Oh yes, a fork, and he takes back, queen takes, but this b6, yeah, now this pawn is walking, this pawn is on d5 is falling, probably with check, or no, not with check, you choose it. All right, what are you threatening now? You don't see the immediate threat, but you're at least defending all of your things, and it looks very good. Optically, this knight seems to be restricting a lot of it, and there might be some checks here if you can get this queen to move. So let's see, queen d6. Now we're threatening another pawn, and we're also threatening the king on this diagonal that we talked about earlier. Knight c5, not afraid of the discovered check. There's even a double check. Apparently there seems to be no way to utilize it. That was stone cold by Hauge. Alright, just picking up the pawn, and it seems like even though white has sacrificed an exchange, white has, what is it? Is it 3 pawns now? Yes, and a completely dominating position. Was this even some kind of spite move? Just moving the king to show superiority? Something for Anna to ask if she ever gets Karsten on stream. So Anna Kramling, she's the main host of the Rilton live stream. Today she was joined by the legendary Grandmaster Ulf Andersson. Really recommend it to follow the stream during the games. There is a link to the website below this stream, and there you will be able to find the live stream for Rilton. So let's see, yeah, just increasing the pressure. Now there's even a fork here, threatening the queen. Queen b2. Moving the rook, but this is just about to... oh, that's amazing. Queen takes a4. So this rook, the idea was with this rook move here was to attack the queen, and the queen just fearlessly took this rook that is protected by both the queen and the knight. So I think the idea is if you take with the queen, there's this check, and the king can't move anywhere, and then there's rook e8, and then you check, and then you win back the queen, and you have lots of material, enough to give some back and still win with a few points. And if you take with the knight, I believe you can just take this one. And is it b7 now? Yes, and if check here, you probably have this idea, which puts the knight in the way of the rook so that the pawn can promote. And if you play here, you play knight a6 or something, and then you get b8 with queen, and you will be a piece and perhaps 2 pawns up or something. So that was very nice. Queen takes a4. Then I wanted to show you one more game, or at least the end of one game. That was an end game that I really liked, but unfortunately my countryman Johan Furhoff, he screwed it up. So it was actually in this position. So we can just show like a few moves before, like how we got here. So Furhoff played this, which was very good, and e7, then this very important move, bishop f1, exchanging the bishops, resolving all of the issues with your king, and then threatening to just take the pawn on c3 and the pawn on a3, because otherwise if you would take this directly, you have some issues, because this bishop and this king is a bit awkward. You cannot play here now because you have an issue with this pin. So it was very important to play bishop f1 in this position before the rook is able to, the black rook is able to activate. So exchange, and then you get this rook endgame. And here you missed a beautiful opportunity to play b6. So looks a bit strange. Why don't you play c6, which, yeah, perhaps is also winning, but b6 is very like, it speaks to me. So what's the idea? So let's say in the other variations with, for example, c6 and takes, I guess you have rook a1, and you can put the rook in front of the pawn. But if you start with b6, it gets much more tricky for black. So for example, you cannot preemptively put your rook behind the b pawn, because then you just drop the a3 pawn. So let's say you play rook a8, c6. Oh wait, did I miss this? I thought there was something here. Maybe I should do more thorough analysis before I make, because it seems to be a saving grace here. No, exactly. This should just be winning this position. That's so what should black try here? Because you're a bit restricted here, and this king is probably just walking up. Let's try moving some, see what happens. Oh, it doesn't like that move. But if you, let's play this then. No, this is just overwhelming. Yeah. But there, I think there was another nice variation that I just saw. Trying to think about what it was. Yes, now I think I remember. Let's play something like this. So takes. Trying to remember. I saw something in my head. I think it was this. And I think it was something like, was it? Yeah, rook b3. You just put your rook behind this pawn, but or I had some kind of idea in my head that there was this move. b6 takes. I don't know. Was it? I wanted something like this to work. Yes. Oh, it works. That's amazing. Because this was the whole point, that this rook cannot go to b3, and it's important that their king was on f1. That was the beautiful part. Takes, and then taking here. Then if you play, alright, if you play this, shouldn't this be really good, where you just run with this one? Yeah. But I think at least Furu had a chance, if not with b6, perhaps with c6. So what happened in the game? Yeah, exactly. Instead, this looks pretty good, and it probably is, but something happens. So how? Oh, it's here that he doesn't play c7. Oh, it's very like I don't think this computer is able to calculate the whole end game low enough. I think for the next stream I will just choose another website or turn this off. So let's just have a look at the end of this. He agreed to draw here. Yeah, maybe it is a draw. Is it because you can't get your king out? So you're risking about actually losing the king's endgame. Or the pawn endgame. Interesting. Yeah. Alright. Let's see. I usually end my round reports with looking at chess results and see if we have gotten any pairings. We hadn't gotten any pairings last time I looked. Oh, now we actually have pairings. Just quickly go through, have a little look at the results from the first round. So in the first round, Dmitry Kolosh, the top-rated player from Germany, won this game. And do we have any other upset? Ionov Sergey dropped half a point. I also think there was a Swedish youngster, Isak Storm. He drew his game. Yeah, he drew his game here on board 23. Jungmin Seo was the higher rated, so we weren't super impressed by that. And Leo Crevatin lost, unfortunately. Yeah. And Kenneskog lost here against Urkedal, yeah. So let's see what we have in round 2. What do we have to look forward to? So in the second round, we can see that we have Dimitri playing against Johannes Haug, another strong Norwegian player. We have Swedish. What do we say? Call him the best amateur player in Sweden or something. I've heard before. Bengt Lindberg. He will play against Thibaut Jesper Sonnegaard, who apparently is an international master with 25.76. That's a really strong international master. And Nikita Meshkovs, Wasabi friend and player for the Riga Magicians when we played against them. Where are the Swedish players? So here we have Blomqvist is playing a strong woman grandmaster from India, Sumia, and Tiger is playing black against Erik Sandarius, and it's a very blurry US flag here, I guess. Erik Sandarius. Do we have Hampus Sørensen? He is playing against Cuban Grandmaster Luis Ernesto. And let's see what else we can. Perhaps we will see Anna commentating on her father's game, Juan, and also a teammate of mine in Vasa's chess club. Khan Pushkuksari is playing against Alexander. Yeah, there are some games to look forward to for the Swedish fans. And I hope I will be back tomorrow, and that perhaps more people will tune in so we can get more questions. That would be marvelous. Thank you very much for today, and and make sure to tune in to the live stream of Rilton Cup, and also make sure to ignore the ongoing World Championship in Blitz and Rapid, because that's not where the action is. The action is on Rilton Cup. Thank you.